What up, what up, what up, everybody? Welcome back. This is the Mic Check Podcast. You are now in the booth with Right on Q, aka Quinton, as everybody likes to call me, whichever one you like to call me. Today's topic, we are going to be talking about what makes Terence Crawford a great champion. Obviously, there's strong debates between a lot of different folks in the boxing community about his resume, his accolades, his skill set. Is his skill set declining? And today we're going to have a chance to spend a few minutes just talking about all of the things above. You can really break this down, like I said, into a few sections. You can talk about Terence Crawford's accolades, which he has in abundance. You can talk about his skill set, which he also has in abundance. And you can also talk about the longevity as well as his amateur career if you'd like. Obviously, Terence Crawford is currently the WBO welterweight world champion. He has been so since 2018 when he stopped Jeff Horn to win the WBO title after Jeff Horn was coming off of his win over Manny Pacquiao. But prior to that, which people try to discount, I think, in my opinion, Terence Crawford was an undisputed champion at 140 pounds. He won all the major world titles at that weight. And it also included quite a few impressive victories. Some victories over a few people. Victor Postol, who was undefeated world champion, WBC world champion, who he beat in May of 2016. He also beat Felix Diaz, who was the Olympic gold medalist, who also was a touted fighter during his time at the top of the sport. Back in February of 2017 when he lost to Crawford, as well as Julius Ndongo, who was the unified world champion. He had the IBF and I believe the WBA belts at 140 pounds, which Terence Crawford took away from him. Obviously, most people are not familiar with Julius Ndongo, but he did win both of his belts on the road, and he was a unified champion at one point. Prior to that, Terence Crawford spent some time on the road. He went on the road to the UK where he won his first world title, the WBO lightweight world championship against Ricky Burns. Now, Ricky Burns is a guy who did quite a bit in the sport of boxing, did quite a bit after he lost to Terence Crawford. He was able to regain a world title, I believe it was at 135 pounds, after he lost to Terence Crawford. So that goes to show you that Ricky Burns was not just some walkover guy, some paper champion or anything like that. Obviously, he comes with a strong reputation of his own. Also, at that weight, Terence Crawford beat Yuriorkis Gamboa. Yuriorkis Gamboa was an undefeated fighter when he beat him back in June of 2014. Stopped him, I believe it was in round 9. And previous to that, Gamboa was an Olympic gold medalist and was the former unified featherweight world champion prior to fighting Terence Crawford a few years before that. He also beat the Ring Magazine #1 world contender at lightweight while defending his WBO title after beating Gamboa in Ray Beltran. So there are quite a few quality wins, in my opinion, that Terence Crawford does have on his resume. While those names are not huge names, they are quality opponents. They are guys who came with deep amateur backgrounds, Olympic gold medals, and some of them were world titleists, obviously, and well-ranked contenders. If you want to talk about skill set, Terence Crawford, in my opinion, is one of the more well-rounded fighters in the sport of boxing. Really, the only clear-cut guys that I see as being more well-rounded probably than Terence Crawford at this point in the game, in my opinion. You probably have to look at guys like Alexander Usyk, Dmitry Bivol, and maybe a few other guys that I'm maybe not thinking of right off the top of my head. But those are the two guys really that I think are probably just as well-rounded, if not more well-rounded than Terence Crawford, because the guy has it all. He has power, he has speed, he has strong footwork. He has great IQ in the ring. He's great at in-fight adjustments. He's a switch-hitting fighter, even though he prefers to fight out of the southpaw stance. So obviously, he has a lot of things going for him. But one of the best things I think about Terence Crawford is something that a lot of people have lauded in the past, is that he's a guy who's extremely competitive. He's a guy that is not easy to push around. He's not a guy that's easily deterred from something that he wants to do. Since coming up to welterweight, after beating Jeff Horn, he's been in obviously with guys who were typically bigger than him. This is his third weight class as a professional boxer. As an amateur boxer, he fought at 132 pounds. So obviously, naturally, he has grown into the weight in his mid-30s, but he's not naturally been a welterweight for, the majority of his career. I think that he's very comfortable at the weight now after being in the division for just over 5 years. But he's not a natural welterweight, which says a lot to how well he's been able to perform at the weight so far, with wins over Kell Brook, who was on a 3-fight win streak by knockout, as well as stopping Sean Porter, as well as his win over Egidijus Kavaliauskas, who he also stopped. And the one thing that everybody likes to talk about is that Terence Crawford has stopped every single fighter he's fought at 147. So typically you don't see guys who start at a weight 2 or 3 weight classes below where they currently are getting stronger as they get older and stopping guys more often than they did earlier in their careers. But that seems to be what Terence Crawford has been able to do so far. These are all the things that I think makes Terence Crawford a great champion. I think he's going to show that in his fight with Errol Spence on July 29th. Obviously, T and I are going to have a chance to talk a lot more about that fight as the progressing weeks come up, as we come to an end and close in June. July will be when we really ramp up the coverage on Spence versus Crawford. Please stay tuned to the Mic Check podcast. This has been your man, Quinton, right on Q, or Q as everybody likes to call me. For everybody that's been watching, please make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Share this video. Give me your thoughts in the comments down below. And we'll see you on the next episode of the Mic Check podcast. Peace.